Hello, this is Anthony of the Church of God's Covenant, bringing you the third installment of prayer, different people's prayers in the Bible. Today we're going to talk about Jonah and how he prayed while he was in the belly of the fish. But to begin, he had to realize who Jonah was. Jonah was a man, he was a man of God, he was a Hebrew, and God told him to go to Nineveh because he was going to destroy it. But Jonah didn't want to do that. He wanted to go to Tarshish. So he went to Joppa to get on the ship to go to Tarshish. But he never actually made it to Tarshish because God sent a storm and it almost destroyed the ship. So while the ship was rocking, being tossed here and there, tossed all over the place, Jonah was downstairs sleeping in the bottom of the ship. The men, they're praying to all their gods, but nothing happened. So they went down to see what Jonah was doing. He was down there asleep. And what happened was they told him to pray to his God so the ship would be safe. So they wanted to find out who exactly was responsible for this calamity they were going through. So they drew lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. So they found out that Jonah was the cause of all this mishap. So since Jonah was a Hebrew, so he told them, he said, go ahead and pick me up and throw me over the ship and everything will be alright. So they picked him up and the waters calmed down. But while he was in the water, God sent a fish, a big giant fish, and it swallowed Jonah. While he was in there in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights, he prayed this prayer in Jonah chapter 2. Jonah prayed to the Lord his God from inside the fish. I called to the Lord in my distress, and he answered me. I cried out for help in the belly of Sheol. You heard my voice. You threw me into the depths, into the heart of the seas, and the current overcame me. All your breakers and your billows swept over me. But I said, I have been banished from your sight. Yet I will look once more toward your holy temple. The waters engulfed me up to the neck. The watery depths overcame me. Seaweed was wrapped around my head. I sank to the foundations of the mountains. The earth with its prison bars closed behind me forever. But you raised my life from the pit, Lord my God. As my life was fading away, I remembered the Lord. My prayer came to you, to your holy temple. Those who cling to worthless idols forsake faithful love, but as for me, I will sacrifice to you with the voice of thanksgiving. I will fulfill what I have vowed. Salvation is from the Lord. Then the Lord commanded the fish, and it vomited Jonah into dry land. After the fish vomited him up, Jonah went to Nineveh and told them what God told him to tell them, that the city was going to be destroyed. The king of that city, Nineveh, declared a fast. So could nobody eat, could nobody drink, wild animals couldn't eat or drink, herds couldn't drink or eat, women, children, anybody, they couldn't eat or drink anything. They had to put on sackcloth and sit in ashes. And God heard this mighty prayer that Nineveh had, that they repented of all their sins that they were doing. So God heard their cry and he forgave them and saved the city. But Jonah, he knew what God was going to do in the first place. He was like, why'd you even think about saying to me? Because I knew you was going to do that in the first place. That's why I wanted to go to Tarshish. But Jonah is actually about obeying what God tells you what to do. If you go ahead and do what God tells you to do, a calamity won't befall you. What are your thoughts on that? Are you in the midst of hearing God's voice and going the other direction? Has God told you something to do and you're being disobedient and want to do your own thing? Maybe he told you to give some money to a stranger you didn't even know. And at that time, you said no. You wanted to pay something else. You wanted to spend it on some pop or something like that. That's a form of disobedience.